Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you all. It is very good to see you all. What are we talking about today? We are talking about the law and what happens when you feel like, oh no, am I not getting it right? Remember, it's not about feeling as if you're not getting it right. It is always going to be that reminder of what is it that you know? What do you know? Because as I've mentioned before, it's not every day that you're going to be hanging in the rafters, shrieking with joy. No, it's not something you can fake what you know. You know that when you apply the law, it is always on, it always works. That's what we know. And so we go with that. Even if you're having a quote unquote great day, or even if you're having a bad day, the law is always on. It is always on, unlike our internet. I sat here this morning and I said, well, I know what is required. And data works. So we're on. So we're on this morning. I checked it this morning and there's a, a power outage at the plant, they said. And I said, well, let's check data. Because we're going online this morning. And here we are. Right? So it's not, again, it's not every day that you feel and you say, it's not every day we have those. But what do we have every day? We have our knowledge and our application of the law every single day. That is what we have. That is what sustains us. That is what gets us through on a daily basis. Right? That's what gets us through on a daily basis. And here's the question that I see the most. But what if? As I said, data is available, so we're here. We are here. I don't have time to be fretting. I have time to be online. So we make it work, as in not forcing it, but seeing what do we have? What do we have? Every cause has its effect. Because one thing isn't, choose another cause. Right? We don't lose ourselves. We maintain our posture. What is our posture? Our posture is, where's the law? What is it doing? Where am I? What am I doing? And I line myself up day in and day out. So you see, it is a very good thing. It is a very, very good thing. Right? So where are you this morning? Where are you this morning? What is your intention for today? I got beautiful testimony last night from someone, and I said, well, of course, I wasn't surprised by the outcome, right? But yet we still have to catch ourselves when we say, oh, but will it work out? I was like, wait, what? And I thought, I'm not going to respond. I'm going to leave that one alone and simply hear what I want to hear. And that testimony was it was exactly as I heard it, exactly as I anticipated it. I'm like, but this is good. This is great. You see, when we focus on a particular way of feeling, if something doesn't go your way, the the response sometimes is to beat yourself up, but that is ill advised. That is ill advised. You don't beat yourself up. You don't judge. You observe and then you act. Whatever that cause is that you're looking to create. So, what are you doing this morning? What are you doing? Because we spoke about it a little bit last night on Lance Curve. We were talking about the sower going out to sow, and what kind of soil did he sow in? What kind of soil are we sowing in? Well, there's the pathway. There's no soil there. It's just a pathway. It always helps to be aware of who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. So be encouraged this morning to take stock of what it is that you know. I'm looking at because I'm on my phone, so I can see, because I'm not wearing glasses, but I can see you all here this morning. Yes. It is a lovely thing. It is a lovely thing to take a moment and observe. That's all. How many of us spent at least 5 minutes, however many times throughout the day yesterday, in just quiet? How many of us did that? Or did we get caught up in the day? This is the point here. Take your time on a daily basis. What is that intention? What is your intention? Where did you point yourself? Did you spend time in quiet? Well, I was so busy. It's okay to be busy. That's why we have phones. We have notes. We have reminders, right? Take some time to simply be. It's really helpful. I'm sitting right here in my regular space. Sometimes, if we remind ourselves to spend that time in quiet, it is almost as if, I know Esther Hicks says, when you feel like you can't do something else, rest, take a nap. Not everybody is able to take a nap, but we have the state akin to sleep. We have that capability of putting ourselves right there in that trance state, just to take a load off, just to recalibrate. That's what it is. So are we making time for that? There's a reason why you do it. It brings clarity. I heard Dr. Joe Dispenza say that if you do it, it resets you. To be nobody, nowhere. It resets you. But sometimes it's hard to get your mind around. What do you mean to be nobody? State akin to sleep. It means you just sit there and you breathe for a couple of minutes. It's what we do. It's how we can do it. to reset ourselves. This is so important. So as you go about your day to day, take the time. Yes, you take the time to just be at peace for a moment, and you'll find so much right in that little tiny space of quiet. There's no fretting in there, there's no worry in there, there's no panic in there. No, there's just peacefulness right there in that tiny pocket. And it truly does do something to you. It does something to us, right? When everybody else is running around and there's so much noise, take the time to find that quiet space and allow it, just as Queen Red Pill says, allow it to refresh you, right? Look at that. Let us take a moment to welcome everybody to the space, shall we? Who's here? I'm going to have to scroll backwards. Well, yes. Hello, Cyber. Queen Red Pill, Sugar Visions, Marjorie, Shea Butter, Zola, and if it isn't smoking. Yes. And Renee and Anot. Yes. And Cyber, yeah. Sometimes it takes about 20 minutes to completely forget and get lost in the silence. But here's the thing, you get better at what you practice. Exactly as you said. Because if you find, right, how the body is, and you keep telling it by way of a habit that you create, same day, same time every day, you want to do this thing. So when you do that, when you tell your body that, within a couple of minutes, like maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes before you sit down to go into the quiet, your body starts to prep you for what it knows that you prefer doing at that time. And so then you go into this space and it seems shorter to get yourself into that space. I know we've touched on it before, but it begs repetition because we take it for granted. We take that quiet time and space for granted. We say, what's the point? The point is, all around us, there's always projections on and on and on every day. But if we allow ourselves time for stillness, you'll find that those projections that are coming all the time have less and less effect on you. This is what happens. The ability to be able to just that is what's required. It has its own purpose, its own function. And truthfully, you do it because, well, it's a beautiful thing, is it not? And that's the thing. Don't fret about, am I getting it right? Don't fret about that. Just choose a time that you can commit to. Same time every day. Just choose a time that you can commit to. Because even that consistency does something. Remember, your whole body responds to what it is you say you're doing on a daily basis, right? Hello, David. It's good to see you. It is very good to see you. Well, I could get used to this. right? It is a beautiful thing. Every time Dad comes by, he goes, "Ah, it's so peaceful here. It's so quiet." I'm like, you would prefer it to be noisy? Right? Because when you do that, right? When you get into that quiet space and you spend that time in the stillness, now you begin to get a sense of what it is you want to create. You hear more clearly, you see more clearly from that space. That's what you're doing. Even if you feel stuck, get into that space and you'll get yourself unstuck. That is the power that you have, right? Because there are some situations that are outside of our control. Oh, indeed, some of them are. Because remember, not every cause is yours. So that cause has its effect. Yes, we can revise to mitigate some things, but we can't usurp the will of another. But what you can do is to make sure that you are in control of you. This is what it is. Right? So what are you going to do today? You're going to spend some time just in that quiet space. It'll help you. That quiet space has a purpose. It will help you to cultivate you, is what it will allow you to do. It will help you to cultivate yourself. That's what you're doing. Remember, every cause has its effect, and every effect its cause. Nothing is ever random. Nothing is ever willy-nilly. No. There is a purpose. Yes, Queen Red Pill. You know why that is? Well, as within, so without. When you spend time in the silence, you create peace from the inside. And so then you don't have a choice but to project it, because it is the law of gender. So whatever is within you is what you project outward. So it doesn't matter where you go. Listen, you could be going to the most busy and noisy market, but you're going to move through that market what? At peace and at ease. Even though that market is loud and obnoxious, you are stillness on the inside. Your peace on the inside. That's also part of the bigger purpose of spending that time in quiet. Well, as within, so without. You spend that time cultivating what's within you and bringing inner peace. Now you become the peace. Well, become the change you want to see in the world, right? Got to plant the seeds. That's what it is. Truly, that's what it is. Keisha, it is good to see you. Cyber, you hit it. You hit it right there. Be still and know that I am God. Indeed. Be still and know that I am. Yes, it's right there. And yes, we have the bowl tonight. We hit the bowl tonight. 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, we do. Hello, Ruby. Now, here's the thing. If you catch yourself and you're like, oh, this, no. Set aside some time A time that you can commit to. The same time every day. The same space every day. Commit to that. You see, because as you know, we live our lives from past memories. It's what we do. But when you deliberately create a habit, now the autopilot that you run on, which means this every day, the same time, in the same place, I do this thing. I meditate. I spend time in the stillness. When you create that kind of a habit to run on autopilot, that is of a benefit to you. It's of a benefit to you. That's what you're doing. Here and now, you're saying, okay, same time, every day, same place. It's not just one of those habits where you picked it up and you don't even know you're doing it. You always want to be aware of what it is you're doing. So when you choose to create a habit in your life, you're creating one that optimizes who you are. That's what you're doing. You're optimizing you. You're running on optimal, right? Every day, all day. So that now, your now moment is of a choosing, conscious choosing. It gets easier. Of course it does. Why? Because the more you do a particular thing, the more streamlined you become, the better you get at it, because that is the nature of practice. It doesn't make the skill better, it makes you better at the skill. Oh, yes, indeed. Well, the skill is the skill. The skill is inanimate. You are the one animating the skill. So you become more streamlined the more you practice a particular thing. That's what happens, right? So you see the beauty of what we've been given. Remember, you are always in alignment with law. You cannot not be. You're always going to be in alignment with it. Always. Always. But are you aware of that alignment? Which means, are you doing the thing that you intended to do? Or are you just being pulled through life by your memories and feelings? I know that that's the part that a lot of people, they say, but how am I supposed to know? By observation. By observation. By observation. You must observe the self. What is it that you are doing? And at every turn, you become aware of something else. It's quite like a refining process, because nothing gets dumped on you all at once. You come across the thing that's the effect brought about by that cause. That's what we do. And when you look at it and you say, what's this? And you examine it. And as I've mentioned before, it will be a behavior. It'll be something that you do. Because remember the seed that you had originally planted. If the seed is more confidence, if that's the seed you planted, confidence, and you come across a behavior that upset you. There was an effect that happened, and you ended up not feeling or being confident. It's not showing you that to cut you down. It's showing you that because it is contrary to who you say you are. So when you look at the behavior that didn't match with confidence, you look at it and you say, oh, I do that every time, don't I? Right. Well, here is where I will apply my confidence now. And in a couple times, that thing won't come at you anymore, because now you changed the behavior, so you have a different outcome. See? Listen to what Cyber says. He says, I finally got my schedule fixed. I woke up at 5 a.m. rather than morning inspiration being my before bed inspiration. Also, I'm getting back in the gym. My first day of doing the new. Of course. That's why I say choose a time in the day that you can commit to. Make things easier for yourself to obtain. Don't leave it to just, oh, I'll fit it in. No, we know how easy that is to not fit it in. So you choose the time that is always going to be there that you can commit to, because that is the nature of a habit. The same thing, the same way every time. And as I mentioned before, like if your bedtime is 9 p.m., by 8:45 you get the yawns and you're like, oh boy, whew. And when you look at the clock, you're like, oh snap, it is my bedtime. Because that's what happens. Your body preps you because it's watching you doing the same thing. And so it helps you to streamline yourself. It helps you because success is the outcome. Success is the inevitable outcome. So if you catch yourself saying, oh, I don't want to do it today, examine that. Why not? What's that behavior? And when you start seeing it, you're like, oh, I get it. Because look at what happens to you when you follow through. Confidence when you follow through. You say, oh my God, I can totally do this. Because you are doing it. Right? That's what happens. Every single day. That's why you persist in being the new. Yes, Cyber. And sometimes it'll take us a moment or two to get ourselves in that frame of mind to say, let me do this. Let me do this. That's what we do. So don't be so hard on yourself. Set yourself up for your success. Every day, the same time, in the same place. This is why an office, we think an office is, oh my God, I got to have the corner window. We think that's what it is. No, in actuality, it's the same place you go to every single day to do the same tasks. Think about that. You see how it was designed? Just like school, the same place, the same time, every day. It's a rhythm. Why? See, because you program the body to act in a particular way based upon where and what it is that you're doing. Those surroundings matter. So if you hear your alarm and you say, oh, I gotta go to that place again. See, when you do that, the place you are going to has relevance. But if you get your mind in the place that says, okay, look, I'm going to the same place, the same time, every day. Let me maximize my potential. And you start seeing, okay, where can I pick up the slack? And all of a sudden you become more productive. Why? Because you recognize what's going on. You don't grudge the rhythm that's there. No, you maximize your potential from it. Ah, Yolanda, honey. Yes, I did a post. I have data today. I have data today. Hey, Nancy. Ruby says, I'm afraid. I think that's what's stopping me. Seeing the change scared me. I think it's because it was a new experience and a feeling. Yes, you already believe in yourself, Ruby. So that's the thing. It's not that, oh my God, I got to see Susan. I got to see Karen again today at the office. No. Remember what the office signifies. The office signifies same time, same place, same activity, a habit. And remember, habits make you successful. So if you are resentful of going to that location, the same time, the same place, and doing the same things, observe your behavior. Why do you feel that way? When in actuality, it has nothing to do with the people around you, but it has everything to do with you. You don't hate or resent where you are. That makes it harder to be there. Accept where you are, acknowledge where you are, and then decide, is this good enough for me? That's what it is. And if you say, well, you know what? How can I streamline myself? Because remember, it's not the activity that gets easier, it's that you have become streamlined. That's why the activity is now easier. You became streamlined. Yes, Casey, absolutely. You set yourself up for success. Listen, because you are already designed for success. You don't have to become successful. You need to recognize that you already are successful. Good, bad, or indifferent, you are successful at doing what it is you're doing. So a change in perspective is required. When you look at it and you say, oh my God, am I successful? Yes, yes, you are. You are successfully doing the same thing the same way every time. How can you not be? The law is only set up for success. So if you examine where you are, where you are the thing you're doing the same way every time, how can you optimize your potential? How can you do that? How can you optimize it? By recognizing it is the task. Look at the task. Oh, but it's so boring and mundane. Because you're looking at the task. The task is boring and mundane. So, what do you bring to that task? It's not about the task. It's always going to be about you. That's why it doesn't matter who your coworkers are. What is your task? How can you streamline it and hone you to accomplish that task more efficiently and effectively? That's where the focus is. And if you do that, you'll find you make less errors, right? Yes, consistency and habits and persistence. It is the law of rhythm, Nancy. Yes, the law of rhythm is not there to punish. No, the law of rhythm is there to show you everything has a cycle. Everything has a cycle. Accounting, you get mid-month and month end, right? How do you hone you? How do you maximize your potential from that space? And that's why it is recommended if you take that quiet time, right? You take that quiet time, you're going to find that you're so efficient, right? So, but you know what gets us? Oh my God, I hate my job. The job never changes. It is you who changes, not the job. Balancing at month end is the job. 0.00 in both columns. That is the key. I think they tell you in accounting, if you're out of balance and you divide that number that you're out of balance with, I think it is 5. If you divide it by 5 and you get an even number, then a number has been transposed somewhere in what you were working with. I think that's what it is. Oh, snap. I don't remember. But that's one of the formulas for it. If you're out of balance and you divide that number that you're out of balance with by 5 and you get a solid number, nothing decimals, then there's something transposed. There may be a 3 that should be an 8. There should be a 6 that should be a 2, but something is transposed. But you see, if you hone yourself and recognize that the task doesn't change, but you become better at the task, you'll be able to spot your mistakes before you make them. Why? Because in that rhythm you hear the still small voice, and you'll hear, do this, check this number, you transpose this. And then what happens? If you listen to that voice that you hear, that still small voice, then you will have caught any error before you make them. Did the job change? No. A booby could come along and do the job. The job is irrelevant. It is the person doing the job and their perspective. Because you'll learn about yourself. If you say the task that you do is too mundane, now you begin to ask, am I capable of doing more? Yes, I am. And then what do? Create a promotion, whether within that company or somewhere else. But you won't move from job to job and doing the same job, because you'll know that, oh, you know what? I am capable of doing more. And so that's what you do. But it comes from learning the self in that rhythm. You see what you are capable of. And then you decide, oh, snap, I can do more. Yes, I can. I'd like to have this experience with something more challenging. Because you've built your confidence, not in the job. You've built your confidence in your skills. You, the way you move, you've built your confidence there in your application of the law. So that's why you don't resent the job. You examine it and say, look, I can do this with my eyes shut and one hand behind my back. Perhaps I need more. And then you see that, you say, oh, yes, I would like a new position. Right? Because you're observing the self and the rhythm. And you're not complaining about, oh my God, my coworkers. You're not doing that because you're not emotionally caught up in things. You are simply observing by way of law. Listen, When you observe the rhythm, yes, you can predict what's coming because you know when one thing ends and it starts again. Sure. But look at what you learn about you as you use the law of rhythm. You begin to see more clearly, I am. That's what you do. That's what you see. You see more clearly, I am. Yes. So today, if you're struggling with, I feel like I'm just floating through, more earth, stability, rhythm is required. So you choose the activity at the time that works for you, and you do it the same way every time. Build that rhythm into your life. That's what it is. Build the rhythm into your life. Yes. So that's why you don't grudge school. That's why you don't grudge work. Because they are the law of rhythm. And it always will ask you, where are you now and what are you doing? Right? Because look at polarity. It is the vibration between the two poles that sets the rhythm, which will bring about a cause and effect. So that you can decide what it is you want to project outward. Hmm. I don't know what we went there, but that's where we ended up because perhaps that's where we needed to be. Nothing is by chance. Nothing is by chance. That persistence. Why, Mr. Anderson? Why? Why do you persist? Because I choose to. Persistence is not a punishment. See, we have to change that lens. I know have, but yeah, change the perspective. Change the lens that you're looking at the world through. If you say, but you know, I have tried so many times to set up a new habit. Did you choose the appropriate activity? Or are you trying to placate somebody? What is causing you to set up your new habit? That's what needs to be looked at. Is there something going on? Oh, but I'm so tired all the time. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. You examine the situation, you observe the situation so you can better see what is going on. So you see, it helps. This is why I tell you the law is so beautiful. If you're dealing with any kind of resentment, if you take the time to look at what it is you're resenting and the behavior that you're doing, resentment will vanish like smoke in the wind. Because you'll begin to see, oh my goodness, I need more of a challenge in my workday. That's why you're agitated because you feel like, oh, I'm doing the same thing. You're bored. So don't scoff at the boredom. Why are you bored? Could you be doing more? Do you not feel challenged enough? Do you not know what direction to go in? Boredom is telling you something. That's why you use the emotions that are coming at you, interpret them. But the first thing we look to do is say, oh my God, I hate my job. No, Why do you feel that way? Well, because George annoys me. Why does George annoy you? Only you can answer that question. Instead of getting all emotional about it, be like the law, impartial, cause and effect. Just look at what you're doing. A whole host of things can be remedied, if we would but observe. And by way of law, act, cause and effect, right? This is the part right here. And you don't have to fight and struggle against resentment. You don't have to hate the job. You don't have to do any of those things. Those things will go away if you pay attention to you and what you are doing or what you're not doing. Don't beat yourself up. Choose the time and the day that is optimal for you so you can be successful, because that's what you already are. So just make it easier on yourself. Right? Make it easier on yourself. I'll give you an example. This sweet child of mine, I think he's mathematically inclined, because he I don't know, but he just worked it out in his head. And so I've been harping on him. Okay, we got to memorize our times tables. He's like, "Yeah, I know, Mom." And then the other day, I hear him saying a particular times table, the 9 times table. And so I said, "Well, how did you learn that?" He goes, "Well, Mom, in the game that I play, you collect things in groups of 9." And I was like, huh, here I am complaining. Instead of maximizing what he's good at, he has the ability to see patterns. He's very quick at spotting a pattern. I know that now. I know that now. But he's always known it about himself. But because he couldn't verbalize that to me, to say, "Mom, I see patterns, so that's how you teach me." No, I had to pay attention to me. Okay, what am I doing here? Why am I fighting and arguing when I should observe what he is? Because when I see what he is, now I know how to teach him. It works that way for every other part. So what's different about this one? Nothing. Yes. Queen Red Pill, yes, love. You enjoy the beautiful day. And yes, I'll see you tonight as we hit the bowl. Much love to you, Queen Red Pill. I shan't keep you much longer, everybody else. I have 40%, 39%. Well, I'll probably plug it in while I'm here. It's quiet in this space. But does this make sense to you today? Because observe the self and you'll see how you do things. And then you'll optimize who you are and bring out your potential. You'll bring it out, which looks like what? You're honing your skills, you're honing your craft, you're honing you, shaping you. See, this is why you don't complain. It blinds the eye. Complaining is judgment, and it will blind the eye. Hello, Iapo. I see you. And the better man. I see you both. I had to scroll backwards to see you all. But take a moment to examine that this morning. If you are in a situation that you deem unsavory, Why? Because then it will help you to do what Neville says. It'll help you to say, what would I prefer to be doing? Wouldn't it be wonderful if I had my ideal life? But how are you going to know what the ideal life is if you don't acknowledge where you are? That's the whole point. Don't run from it. Don't judge it. Observe it and examine it, because it is showing you where you are and what you're doing so that you can decide and choose where you would prefer to be and what you would prefer to be doing. And you begin to see yourself doing it. And the funny thing with the mirror neurons, you start doing it in your mind's eye. The body begins to fire and wire itself to do that thing. That's what it does. Again, you are designed for success. You are designed for success. So optimize yourself for success. How do you do things? Are you a pattern person? What are you? Because when you see who that is, now you do it and you do it well. I trust that it makes sense for you this morning, because I know sometimes we can become a little bit overwhelmed with what's going on in our daily lives. But to conserve your power, to conserve your strength, to conserve your mental faculties, your mental health, then, to conserve those, turn inward. Turn inward. Oh, but won't people say I'm crazy if I talk to myself? So we're living for other people now? No, we're not. You talk to yourself so you can better understand. That's why you're talking to yourself, to work out something. That's why you're doing it. There's a purpose as to why you do it. There's an intention as to why you're speaking to yourself so that you can understand. Mm. Nancy says she got to go into a situation in order to experience what was circling inside me that was normal to my emotional creation. Understood. I understand. Yes, you're examining. But here's something. Sometimes when we observe, we can also mitigate or circumvent tough situations, because you see it and you're like, you know what? If I do this, this is going to happen. If I do this one over here, well, this is going to happen. And you start to go through those things. You start to play out cause and effect in the mind so that you can choose, just like Nikola Tesla. He worked everything out in his mind and then he built it once he worked all the kinks out. That's why we have our minds, right? To use them. You don't always have to experience the thing to see you. Not always. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It just depends on who you are. But this is also something that you learn about yourself. If you find that, because some people are really hands on, they're very tactile, they got to get dirty and do the thing. But if you find that doing the thing burns a lot of energy, start doing the thing instead of physically, start doing it mentally so you can see how it plays out in your mind in every scenario, because you'll see it. And when the scenario matches what it is, then that's the one you do. Path of least resistance. Yes, she also says, now I'm consciously aware and can see my part for most of my life. This is allowing me to shift what doesn't serve my heart and life anymore. Of course. That's exactly it. See, observation goes such a long way. Can you imagine now if you were judging that and beating yourself up in the corner all the time? Oh my God, I can't get it. Wow. See the difference between those two things? That's it right there. Observe, don't judge. Look at your behavior and say, oh, snap, that's working great. Or, oh, yikes, that's not working so great. Right? That's what gets us through. Yes, Apple. I work out a lot of things through talking to myself. Sometimes I get into an argument with myself, but I always win. Oh, Apple, yes. That's exactly what it is. I win most of my arguments. I do. I win most of them. But I try to understand something like, oh, okay, so if I do this here and then that one there, what does that mean? Okay, so where's the law here? Yeah, that's exactly how I do it too. It is beautiful because it prevents you. Look at all the things. If we walk around with unnecessary resentment and anger, right? Because we're not examining the situation, but we're just headlong into it emotionally, you find that you're exhausted a lot because you're fighting this thing. It's, if you go into any of the Neville Goddard forums, well, I can still see them. I can't comment because I've been banned from. there's only one of them that I'm in that I haven't been banned from. But somebody asked the question, how do you ignore the 3D? And I'm like, man, see what happens when things become distorted? What do you mean ignore the 3D? The 3D exists because of you. So what behavior are you doing that contributes to your 3D? You cannot ignore. Denial gets you nowhere. You cannot deny your situation. Neville says you deny the senses. But to deny the senses, you must be aware of something. Well, clearly, so you can go the other way. And that's, you see, that word, deny the senses, to the novice, it can mean something else. He's not telling you to deny it because it doesn't exist. He's telling you to deny it because you are busy creating. And because you are busy creating, that thing you're creating must show itself on the outside. So you're not looking at your emotions to guide you. You are examining the emotion to see the self. I gotta find it. Come, I gotta plug in. Where's the Kybalion? Is it out in the living room? Yes, it is. There's, that's okay. I can find it because I want to read it to you because it'll make more sense. Iapo, yes, self-talk is critical. It's extremely powerful, yes. That is why we must learn to do it positively without judgment and uplift ourselves, because the opposite can equally manifest. But of course, it can. Let me find the Kybalion. Here we go. Now let's search for the word denial. Here is the phrase. Transmutation, not presumptuous denial, is the weapon of the master. Let me read it to you again. Transmutation, not presumptuous denial, is the weapon of the master. One more time. Transmutation, not presumptuous denial, is the weapon of the master. The Kybalion. What does that mean? It means you look at your situation and your behavior. You see the vibration of that behavior. You transmute it. You change it from the form it is now to the form you want it to be, which means the external will change to match. But if you are, it's a triangle. Well, maybe. And think about the shape later. But if you say, okay, here's where I am now, here's what I'm doing, this is where that energy is. Look at the outcome, the end, the desired outcome. Then you must transmute that energy, change that energy from the form that it is now. It's not a helpful form. We'll change it into a helpful form. You must do the action that is helpful, because the energy is there. You can't bust it up. It's just there. You can mold it and shape it into something else. That's why if you're looking at the 3D and you say, well, nothing's going my way, but look at what is shaping outside. Well, you keep saying nothing is going my way. Transmute that. Change that. Nothing is going my way. What do you want to change it to? You know what? Everything works out for me. But you don't just say everything works out for me. You have to know that it works out. How does it work out? It works out because every cause has its effect. Do I have a clear image of what it is I want to experience? That's how you transmute. You can't deny the existence of the 3D, because if you stub your toe, it makes itself real, doesn't it? Your senses tell you that the 3D exists. But your senses now will also tell you the 3D exists because you're making it as you go along. Oh, transmutation comes from the energy of the snake. Reminds me of Quetzalcoatl and Garden of Eden. Neville did live projections. I've been trying that out. For example, he was walking the sidewalks in New York, but he saw the dirt roads of Barbados, instantly revising life as he experienced it. Yes. That's what you do. I'm practicing. Because he says, you can lay in your bed, but that bed is not where it is. Where in your mind is that bed? But you see, Nikola Tesla did the same thing. Nikola Tesla built whatever he was building. He built it in his mind. It wasn't sitting in front of him in that empty space in his warehouse. It wasn't there. So he projected that image in his mind and worked on it. Artists, lyricists, all of them do this exact same thing. They project that image. In Iron Man, when he would touch the screen and just throw everything out into the room, and you would see all the bits and pieces in the room. I don't know if that made sense. You know what I'm talking about. When he would touch the computer screen and just expand it outward so he could see everything. That's what we do in our minds naturally. Our minds naturally. And this is why a lot of people, when they think, oh, you're just pretending, it's just make believe, oh, you're visualizing. No, you're not visualizing. You're actually molding and shaping that thing in your mind. My dad did that all the time because his first trade is mechanic. He would hear the engine and he'd be like, I know what that sounds like. So in his mind, he would take it apart first to find that sound that he's hearing out there in the engine. And I'm like, This man is crazy. No, he wasn't crazy. He was projecting so that when he found the source of the noise, he knew exactly where to go in the engine. He didn't have to go hunting for it. I swear he was what's his name? The diagnostic machine. He just, and now if you go somewhere with him, because he does cement work, if he looks at a cement floor, he can tell you if you mixed it right. Do you have too much calcium in there? Did you have too much water, too much sand? I'm like, what in the? Because he knows what a perfect mix looks like. So when there's not a perfect mix, he looks at the effect and he can tell you the cause of it. And I'm looking at this man and I'm like, what in the Sam Hill? And you know what he always says to me? Oh, if I was book smart, I'd be way ahead in the world. And I'm like, and I sit there and I listen to him and I say, if you were book smart, I'm like, Daddy, you are beyond book smart. You don't need the book. Right? But it's that train of thought, if I were book smart. Because that's what he heard when he was growing up in school. Oh, you're not bright like the rest. And he felt like he was stupid because he didn't understand what was in the book. But his teachers did him a disservice because they did not understand how he learned, because that's not the point of school, is it? So that's what I'm trying to tell you today. What is it that you are skilled at already? What is that thing? That's why you don't resent or grudge where you are. Figure out how you do it. So that comes down to, you see, it will always come down to the self. It will always come down to the self. I'm going to sit here and plug in the phone, y'all. It'll come down to the self. All things are possible. Yes, beautiful Marjorie, they are. Cyber says, yes, I remember watching an interview with a Marvel comic book artist who said he saw the finished image on the page and then he was basically just tracing the projection. You see, Cyber? You hear? Shoot. The universe is mental. The universe is mental. It is a mental creation. And so if you watch, that's why I say I marvel. I marvel at artists. I marvel at, lyricists. They hear that song sometimes in its entirety, or they hear the beat and then the beat inspires them to move, blah, blah, blah. But the point of the matter is, just like you say, the finished image on the page. What does Neville Goddard say? Go to the end. Why? Because if you go to the end, what you're just doing now is tracing the projection. You're recreating. And just like Marjorie says, all things are possible. Well, all things are possible because you went to the end and now you're simply recreating the image that you hold. Cyber, thank you for that. Because you hit it right on the head, right there. Like, bam. That was a mic drop. Reason being is because people try and figure out how this thing is going to work out. That's not your job. Your job is to sketch out the finished product. Whether you don't have to sketch it out by pen or pencil if you're not an artist. When I say sketch it out, I mean become clear about what you want. But look at it. We do it naturally already. We do it naturally already. The seamstress, didn't I just see Bree? Iapo says, I imagine people who are blind from birth may actually have a more firm grasp on the physical world than those who can see, because their perceptions are more objective. They see with their minds. Oh, Lord Jesus, give us strength today. Iapo, yeah. you're just lit today. But that's exactly it. You see, with the mind, because that's how you create. Can you hear the crow outside? He might be a raven. Hello, Bree. Listen to what Bree says. That's how I feel when I draw, that it's already there. You channel the creativity, it goes through you. Here we go. Yeah, Bree. When you recognize, when you recognize what it is you are wanting to create and you shape it and hone it, that's why I like you so much when I watch you on TikTok, because you've touched it. Like you brought it out of your mind and you cut it out in a pattern and you touch it and you twist it this way, you sew it here, you beat it there, like all because you're recreating that thing that you had in your mind. But Bree, yes, you go to the end and you work backwards. Yeah, you can say it that way too, but I prefer the way Cyber said it because it's easier. The Marvel comic book guy said he gets the end, the final image, and then he just traces it out. So you're making a carbon copy, right? That's what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing. You have the image in your mind, and all you now are doing are recreating the carbon copy. And that's what that bridge of incidence is. But you see what happens to us? We get caught up with the, how is it going to come together in the 3D? It can only come together in the 3D if you have it together in your mind. That's why you spend the time in the mind, erasing what lines don't work or changing the behaviors that don't work. Change them there, start doing them there, because now in the 3D everything has to come together. It becomes cohesive, it coalesces. Again, correspond. Right? Yes, you got to see it with that third eye, the eye of the mind. See it there. It goes for anything. Are you creating a dress? Creating a car? What are you creating? A house? Are you creating a spouse? What are you creating? You must have a steady image to recreate from. So that's how you know you already have what it is you say. You already have it. Where is it? You have the original. And now you're going to make the copy. But without the original, you cannot make a copy. Now do you understand why all things are possible? Because you've got the original in your mind's eye. You have the original. I can walk through in my mind the house I grew up in Barbados. I know what the veranda looks like. The guard wall I can scale. I can jump over it. The little pony sconces in the veranda. I can walk through that house. And my grandfather did. After he went blind, he walked through that house from memory alone because the image was so embedded in his mind. Right? So no, we don't ignore the 3D. We create the 3D. We mold and shape the 3D according to the image we are holding. So does it not exist? It does exist because you have it in your mind's eye. It's there. So the more clear it is there, the more clear it becomes outside. That's when you'll get the inspiration. You see, it comes out of you to act, to go here, to call this person, to do this, to do that. Why? Because you're putting all the pieces together. But without that image, what do you have to draw from? Bam, look at that choice of words. What do you have to draw from if you don't have it clear in your mind? And we do that. When we say I am, we have a very clear image. Like my dad, I'm not book smart. I'm like, what does it have to do with books? It has nothing to do with books, Daddy. That's what I tell him all the time. It has nothing to do with books. Right? But that feeling, that knowing of inadequacy has walked with him for years. But every time he says it, I show him where he's phenomenal. Because I have to. It's my dad. Because I'm planting seeds. Right? Yes, Apple. Yes. See, this is where procrastination comes from. Listen to what Apple says. When I'm not clearly seeing or hearing or smelling what's going on, I find I struggle with writing it. But of course, you have nothing to recreate from. And so sometimes what happens, if we don't examine ourselves and look at the behavior that we're doing, right? We end up saying things like, oh, you know what? I just don't have an idea. I'm just not going to do it. I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to sit here. And we end up procrastinating, not because we're lazy, but because we don't have a clear image. So instead of beating yourself up for quote unquote procrastination, go back to the drawing board. What is it that you want to do here? What's stopping you from doing it? Is it something you're saying to yourself? Are you blocking yourself with what you know of yourself? Well, I don't know if I know the right people. But what if this story has already been told a million times? Now you get to see what you're dealing with. That's what's making you not move. That's why you acknowledge where you are at and what you're doing. You don't judge it, because then you'd be able to, then procrastination again would fade away like smoke in the wind. Because you would see it for what it actually was. It's not procrastination. It's just procrastination is just a fancy word for meaning you don't finish what you start, really. But there's a reason why you don't finish what you start. Find that. So if you say, I want to finish the things I start, that's a good place. But in order to finish the things that you start, you have to start doing that behavior. What's stopping you from doing that behavior? Something you hold in your mind to be true. That's what's going on. Right? Let me go back here. Yes, my beautiful darling. Hello, Bree. It is so good to see you. I was thinking about you. Yeah, the work backwards is a tricky part, focusing on the steps. It feels better to focus on the passion and let spirit do the rest of the work. Almost like it's none of our business if it's stressing you. But of course, that's why I like it how Cyber said it. If you have that clear image, well then that clear image is being projected outward. You're just tracing it. So it's just easy to follow the outline that you've already got in your mind. So that's where spirit is like, this is a piece of cake. Let's do it this way. Oh, look, that person has this piece. Call them. They've been thinking about you anyway. So call them. Oh, we need to go there. And you go there. And the thing you require, not only is it on sale, but you can get many of it. Right? All because what? You are projecting the image up onto the screen and just tracing it out. No effort required. Yeah, that's what it is. It is a beautiful thing. Oh, there was a dream I had through the course of about 30 years about a place I've in this life never been. but the place itself, the detail and the sequential nature lets me know I have been there. But of course, right? Yes. Ain't not? That is a brilliant idea. That is a brilliant idea to tell my dad's story. Yes, because he is the book, isn't he? Oh, he was so adorable as a youngster. And this is what I mean when I say sometimes teachers don't take the time to learn students. They think they're there to teach, but then one teaches to learn. You are teacher, but you are also student, because you're learning what the people before you are like. That's what you're doing. You're learning your students. So you're learning so that you can be better at teaching. They separated him and his twin brother. And my father stopped talking for 3 months. They separated them. I don't know why they separated them, but they did. And daddy wouldn't talk anymore after that until they put them back together. And I was like, how? They're identical twins. How torturous was that? I can't even imagine. All because the way the system has designed learning, designed school. They punish you first. And I'm like, dude, you have to understand the child. Right? But I digress. Oh, Cyber, thank you. See? I love you, Cyber. Thank you very much. You just know what it is. You know what it is. How did we get to an hour and a half already? I swear I've been done. Because that did not feel like that to me. I feel like I just got here. But anyway, I shan't hold you up. So today, as you go out into the world, have a clear image. But it comes naturally to you already. So you don't have to force it. That's the part I want to reinforce. You do not have to force. When you force things, man, you make yourself tired. Don't do that. Go with it naturally because you're already doing it. You don't know what it is that you already do? That's why you spend some time in quiet. Spend some time in the silence. Indeed. Yes. Because I'll give you an example again. I know for me, I'm working on book number 2. And I'm working on a couple things. 3 things at once, actually. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, but I don't know how it's going to turn out. And I hear in my head, well, you do talk a lot, so why don't you do voice to text? And then just edit from there as you do one chapter at a time. And I'm like, that's great. I can do that. That makes life so much easier. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And then I come up against but I don't have a scientific degree. I'm not a quantum physicist. I'm not any of those things. Look at Dr. Bruce Lipton. Look at Dr. Joe Dispenza. Look at Billy Carson. Look at Matthew LaCroix. What do you have, Angela? Aw, you just know the law? That's all you know? You don't know anything else? But look at all the things they know. And I sit there and I put down my pencil and I don't write. I keep telling you guys. I am in the midst of you. I've had the same programming. So I have to get myself through that. Because I see the end result. I see it. But I can't beat myself up for what it is, because I'm not hearing those things because something or someone is trying to discourage me. No, I'm hearing those things because I said, this is who I am. I am a writer. I have the ability to tell the story. I have the ability to inspire. Yes, those are all the things I am. Well, then, what behavior is in the way? So that I can do the new. So I have to do the new. So then I have to hear what the hell's going on with the old. Yikes. So yeah, that's what it is. Well, yes, I am a DTCM. I am a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. And it's funny that I sit here sometimes and I say, wait, how did I get here? Because originally I wanted to be a midwife. Do you understand? But they did not offer the course here in Alberta at the time. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to move to BC. I don't want to move to BC. I don't have any support there because my son he just turned 1. And I was like, ugh. And I said, well, what else can I do? I looked up naturopathy. I looked up chiropractic. I looked up homeopathy. I looked up so many things until I, quote unquote, stumbled across traditional Chinese medicine. Did you know? I just learned this the other day. Thoth, the Atlantean, allegedly, he was the Yellow Emperor, Huang Di. And I was like, wait, what? Wait. I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. Thoth, the Atlantean, you are Huang Di? Huang Di said one thing, and I wrote my thesis on this for my PhD. I wrote my thesis. Huang Di said, the doctor cannot heal the body. He must heal the mind. Listen, that impacted me so much. I wrote my thesis on it, right? And I'm like, but that was you? That's how I ended up right here. Because I always marveled at the fact that traditional Chinese medicine, as above, so below, that is in the text. If there's a blockage above, treat the point that is furthest away. So if you have a headache, there's a point on the foot. As above, so below. And I'm like, what in the... And that fascinated me. And it is absolutely wow. My classmates used to make fun of me and call me Little Confucius. Because it was the philosophy that drove me. I never treated necessarily by way of text, of course, because you memorize the points. But I never treated by way of text. I treated by way of what, as above, so below, as within, so without. I treated by way of the law. And I was like, what? And so I often marvel at how I got here with the Hermetic principles, because they are part, like TCM is the law itself. And I'm like, what in the Confucius is this? Right? So yeah, it is a most beautiful thing, because there aren't any coincidences. But I want to understand, what I want to figure out is, did I make that choice myself? Well, you know what? It was cause and effect. Because I couldn't do something else, I had to pivot. And I had to choose the thing that made the most sense, that matched me. And I was looking for something that was holistic. So now in TCM, if you can't get pregnant, TCM can help you get pregnant, carry your baby to term, and put you in help you go into labor. Huh. Fancy that. So did I need to be a midwife? So because I was looking for something more holistic and all-encompassing, I found the other things to be lacking, because they were based on symptomology. Whereas with TCM is not based on symptoms. TCM is based on causality, causation, cause and effect. So it is a most beautiful thing when you take a moment to reflect on why you do what you do and how you got down a particular path. So yeah, it is beautiful. So as you say in Barbados, I have a bone to pick with you. Thought the Atlantean, like what? What's going on here? So that's the beauty of the law. When you look back on your life and you reflect, you can see the causes that brought about the effects as to where you are. It's very beautiful to do. Anyway, hey Ruby. I know, right? Sometimes that's what happens. Like I don't even know if we're back online yet this morning when they said they had a problem at the plant. I have no idea. All right, but that's what it is. That's just the way it is. Yeah, I can't even. Yeah, somebody's dealing with their effects, right? But I said no. We're going online this morning, and here we are. This really sad guy says to his therapist, "My wife ran off to the tropics with some rich playboy." The therapist said, "Jamaica?" Guy says, "No, no, she left of her own free will." Yeah, bro. That's funny. As soon as I said Jamaica, no, no, she left of her own free will. Oh, snap. That was good. That was real good. That was really good. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, bro. Where do you come from? Oh, Lord. That was brilliant. Jamaica? Ah, she left of her own free will. I gotta tell Noah that one. Oh, snap. I gotta tell him that one. But I trust that today made sense. Go into the world today and recognize one does not deny the existence of the 3D. One must acknowledge that they are creating the 3D. Whether you think it is far fetched or not is irrelevant. If you think it is far fetched, oh, I don't believe in the law. You don't have to believe in the law, you need to know it. So, no, one does not deny the 3D. One acknowledges that they create it. I leave you with that. Oh, parting is such sweet sorrow because we're already on. You've actually, I streamed YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter this morning. I did not do fan base because I can't get to it. I only have this one device. But there's the thing, Ruby. That's why you don't beat yourself up. If you get nothing from today, not you as in Ruby, but in general, if we get nothing from today, get this. Stop judging your experiences. Your experiences are showing you who you declare yourself to be. Every time you say, I am, it's like you power up. Every time you say, I am, I am, you power up. That's my sound effects for powering up. That's how you power yourself up. Every time you say, I am initiated. I am protocol initiated. That's what you're doing. And you're living it out. So when you say I am, and you come across something that is contrary to who you say you are, why is this happening to me? That behavior is showing you, hey, didn't you say you were ... Well, this doesn't fit the format. This doesn't fit the format. So you're contradicting yourself. That's what that behavior is showing you. It's not telling you that you suck. Right? You say you're putting up boundaries in your world and you come across somebody who wants to rip down your boundaries. That's not there to challenge you. That's there to remind you, are you putting up those boundaries? So put up the boundary. Erect the boundary. Boundary erected. Oh boy. Right? That's what you're doing. But don't complain. Oh my God, it's happening to me again. No. But I. Jesus. Cyber. Angela Ballsy. Oh my God. Wait, I watched this thing, Saint Seiya. I don't know if you've seen that one, Cyber, but my favorite guy in there's Pegasus. And he always says, Pegasus, Ryusuke. That's what he says. And my son looked at me the other day and he goes, my mother likes manga? What? He's like, Mom, are you okay? Or like Beastmasters or whatever they call themselves. I forget what it is. What's his name again? Tanjiro. That's me walking around the house. But you see what he did there? When he said Pegasus Ryusuke, he declared who he was and he took the form of what he said he was. Pegasus. Hercules' horse. But yes. Oh, yes. I will do that, Iapo. I'll pop over there today. Look, don't listen. Pushback is natural because pushback helps you to learn. It helps you to grow, right? You remember, pushback is not a bad thing per se. Perspective is everything. It helps you to see more and more. So either you will stand 10 toes down firm on what you said, or you will re-examine and be stronger for it. So yeah, definitely. It's a good thing. Yeah, Ruby, look, Ruby. Now I'm Angela Ballsy. Jesus, give me strength today. Yes, but that's what it is. I just love it, you know? So when I tell you that the law is beautiful, it is. It is. Do not judge yourself or your experience. Examine it. The behavior you're looking at, does it confirm or does it contradict? And who is it that you say you are? Anyhow, I ain't gonna keep you here any longer because look at, I was like, oh snap, look at the time. Right? Let's get the ball, y'all. Let's get the ball. Let's get the ball. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2,